Q, sort of like a first-person shooter game, and E and Q will rotate the camera like this, and then you can also do this with R and F. There's a variety of controls. Most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, all I use is left mouse button and right mouse button, and the scroll wheel. Pretty much every mouse nowadays should have a scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is just basically to move the camera up and down. Pretty self-explanatory, and a lot of games work like that. You can also, if you don't have a scroll wheel, you can also use the numbers 1 through 9 on your keyboard. They'll do this. They will move your camera's elevation. And if you want to view things from far distance away, you can use X and Z to zoom in and out. It can go up to 20 times, I believe. Yep, 20 times. Useful if you don't want to go around the map. A couple other useful keys that I use a lot. If you control-click on the ground, it will jump the camera to that point. So if I want to jump the camera to firing line, control-click on the firing line point, and my camera's there. And then V flips the camera around 180 degrees. Also very useful. I often use control, click, and V to jump to a unit. Like, let's say I want to get to this squad right here immediately. Control click behind it, V, and then I'm at it. Okay, so to select a unit, as I said before, you left click on its floating icon, or you can left click on the unit itself, either the vehicle or one of the soldiers in the unit. We're going to do basic movement commands. As you can see here, our land objectives, our ground objectives are signified by this neon ground here. And it's got some white text floating above it, which shows the name of the objective. So we need to move units into that objective. Okay, so to give it an order, you can either use a hotkey or you can click on the control panel. For this part of the mission, we're just going to be concerned with the movement panel. So you're going to open up the movement panel. You can either press on the M or you can press F5. That's the hotkey to open up the movement panel. Select one of your units, and then left-click on Move, and then place it anywhere inside the green ground. You'll see that the destination action spot. So this game is the game's map is divided into action spots, which are 8 by 8 meter squares. You can see them there. They're highlighted. It's highlighted. That's going to be where the unit's going to move to. So what you do is left-click on Move. You'll notice that the cursor changes to this this pentagon and a little arrow. Then left-click on the destination. A colored line is going to connect them. That's going to be the waypoint. The unit is going to follow this waypoint to the destination. The destination is this white circle. Then to end the order, to stop giving orders, or commands, I should say, if I say orders, I also mean commands. I always mess that one up. To finish giving the order, or the command, right-click. You'll notice the cursor goes back to its to the triangle. Okay, so these guys have been given a command. They're going to move there when the turn begins. We'll do the same for the rest. If you want to give a movement command to a building, just click on the building, and a little prompt will come up, and it'll tell you which floor of the building you want to move it to. We'll go ahead and move it to level 1, and then we do it for the rest. It can just be anywhere in there. It doesn't matter. If you mess up an order and you want to redo it, while you have the unit selected, hit the backspace button and it'll delete the last command. Very important. I've seen this a lot while watching new players play. They mess up a command and they can't figure out how to get rid of it. Just hit backspace and it'll get rid of it. Okay. So, when you're ready to start the turn, just hit the flashing red button down here at the bottom and it'll start the turn. You get a blue bar really quick, it'll calculate the action, and then we get a minute of the game playing without you doing anything. You can't interfere in any way, except for rewinding or pausing, but you can't actually change orders. So you'll see that we got a text. We got a text up here and a little radio squelch when we walked onto the ground. This is a touch objective, which means that all you have to do is touch the objective with a unit once, and you get the points for it. You do not have to occupy it afterwards. You'll notice that the neon green ground is gone as well. That signifies that we've touched it, and we've earned the points for it. So the order I gave them was a move order. That is basically, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. They move along at a relaxed pace. It's a useful command if you are moving units that aren't under enemy fire and you don't want to tire them out. It's really important in this game is managing your unit's fatigue levels, which you'll see in a moment. And it's also useful for heavy weapons teams because they tire out really quickly if you have them running and jogging all the time, so move is useful for them. Okay, so when the turn is over, you can see that done appears in the middle of the screen. Down here, if you look down here where I'm moving the cursor around, you see we have the time controls. So we're gonna go over each button. If you go over to the upper left button, this will bring the turn all the way back to the beginning. It's pretty much like any video player you've ever played. The symbols are the same. The bottom buttons will move the game forward and backwards 5 seconds. 5-second increments. And then the button up on the upper right top will just pause the game or play it. And then when you're done, you just press the red button, and we're back at where the turn ended. Okay, and for those of you who don't like clicking on the command panel, you can also use hotkeys. If you look below the colored dot, you'll see a letter, and that is the hotkey you can press to. Each one of these has a little letter you can see. That will basically just that's the button you can press to just give the order instead of having to click on it in the UI. That's how I usually use it. I usually use hotkeys instead of actually clicking on the UI. Okay. So our next objective, we're going through them in order. If you see the numbers here, this is 1 farmstead, 2 forest, 3 field, 4 fighting line. We're going to go through them in order. For forest, we'll give them a quick command. We're going to give the whole platoon a quick command. We're just going to give them a straight-up command to go straight to the forest. So the quick command is right down here. Remember to left-click, then right-click to stop giving the order, and you'll see the line connecting it, and it should be a white dot. Okay. Also, another useful thing you should do, I highly recommend you do this, is you use the hotkey Alt-P, and you can now see the waypoints. You can now see the waypoints and commands for other units. So they'll appear as thinner lines, and that way you have a better idea of what your other units' commands have been, so you can more easily coordinate them on the map. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let this turn play out. You notice that you have to have a unit selected to actually see them, though. Otherwise, they'll disappear. Once you have a unit selected, you see all of them. Alright, we'll let this turn play out. We gave them a quick command, so they're going to jog towards the forest ground objective. So you'll notice that there is a tall wall here. And the guys, the waypoints that I had given them were going straight through the wall, but they're obviously ignoring that, and they're going around the wall and kind of doing their own thing. So in combat mission, units will just, they'll improvise if there's an obstacle in their way, and sometimes they will actually follow certain pieces of terrain. If you give them a quick order, they're going to tend to follow easier terrain, like they'll run along the edge of a forest or along a trail or something like that. So they're not always going to exactly follow your orders, and the further apart your waypoints are, like the further you set away a movement order, the more the unit's probably going to improvise in getting towards its location. So, quick command is a pretty good general command during combat. It's pretty much my default command I assign to regular rifle units. They're going to move along in a slow jog. It's not too tiring, and it's there is a disadvantage though in that the faster they're moving, the less they tend to spot. They tend to not spot enemy units as well, and they're also easier for enemy units to spot. But there's a trade-off between that and the fact you don't want them, if they're caught somewhere bad, they'll get out of it more quickly than if they were moving at a slower speed. Alright, so we'll go ahead and cancel their movement orders here. They've already touched it. For field, we're going to give them a fast command. This is the fastest command available to a unit. Just give them all a command somewhere in the objective. And we'll go ahead and hit play. So you can see they're moving a lot faster. Fast command is, well, it does what it says on the tin. They move pretty fast. It comes with a disadvantage, though, that they will tire out faster. There is a thing called fatigue. If you look down here, where I'm waving my cursor, right here, there are a few different rested states. There's rested, ready, tiring, tired, and then there's more below that. That basically tells you the unit's fatigue level, how out of breath they are. And the more tired they are, the slower they're going to move, the less effective they're going to be in combat. So you don't want to run your guys totally ragged before they even get to the enemy. They might get there faster, but they're not going to be in as good a shape to fight. So you want to be careful about that. You want to try and keep them at tiring or ready. You don't want to let them get to tired, because then they're not going to be able to fast move and they're not going to be able to get out of a bad situation. So yeah, you can see that their status is now changed to tiring after doing that 1-minute run. Okay, so now this is pretty much the end of the movement portion. We're going to move these guys up to the firing line and do some target practice. So now we're going to do some so all we've done so far is some really simple commands, just one waypoint, one spot. Now we're going to do some multi-waypoint commands. So to give a multi-waypoint command, you're going to select an order, we'll do a move. Now instead of right-clicking to end the order, you're going to keep moving the cursor over and you're going to left-click again. You'll notice that we now have a new leg on the destination. There is a new white ball here at the end. There's a white triangle, and this is a waypoint that they're going to go to, and then they're going to keep moving. So if you want, you can also mix different kinds of orders. So if you want to do that, right-click to stop giving orders, then select another command. So in this case, we're going to do quick, and then just pick a new destination. In this case, it's going to be this wall here. You'll notice that the action spots of the teams, these are the three colored squares you see are where the 3 teams are going to go. They automatically line up with the wall. So just left-click here, right-click to finish giving orders. And so this is the result. They're going to do a move here, and then a quick there. And you can do this in whatever combination and as many as you want. Also, if you decide you don't like a waypoint, you can either do backspace to delete the last waypoint, or you can, let's say I want to make this another quick, right here, I want to make this a quick. You can click on the colored line, and then select quick, and it's changed to quick. So you'll see that you've got it selected because it's brighter and thicker than the rest. If you want to deselect that waypoint, just left-click anywhere on the ground. So left-click to select it, left-click anywhere else to deselect it, and then you can go back to giving orders at the end of the waypoint. You can also click on a waypoint and drag it around. Just left-click and drag if you want to move around the destination or one of the waypoints. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and give some orders for the rest. Do their thing. By the way, if there's any new players in chat and you want to, if you want me to demonstrate something or you have a question, just go ahead and ask. I'm reading chat while I'm playing this. It is not possible to delete a waypoint in the middle of a chain, unfortunately. Not that I know, anyways. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just skip through this turn since we're just going to watch them do their thing. And skip through the next turn until they get to their destination. Okay, so these guys started shooting, so actually I'm going to rewind. Okay, so we're getting up to the combat commands now. These guys automatically spotted enemy targets. We got a bunch of dummy tanks here, and we got some German infantry acting as shooting targets. You notice that they automatically started shooting on their own. You don't have to tell your units to shoot. 90% of the time your units are smart enough to just pick their own targets and fire.